Quiet on the set.
AC
Quiet.
sound like the screen door on Friday and shit. Damn, Smokey. Excuse me, stagehand.
Anybody else's lips smell funny?
I'm good at doing
Cheese?
dumb
And I'm breathing like a fat kid.
Man, I just got stage fright.
The Grog Bowl follows 3 Army veterans on a trail of self-discovery and hopefully progress as they talk about life before, during, and after service. These 3 service members have varied jobs, time in service, and experience after service, but one thing remains constant. You are never the same, for better or worse, after any amount of service.
Hey guys, welcome back to Grog Bowl Podcast. This is our second episode. We are now streaming live tonight. We're going to be discussing
stress of leaving the Army, transitioning, and a new life.
That's an outstanding topic because all 3 of us went through the transition
or something
phase.
Like that.
Yeah.
Can you paraphrase, Mike?
Paraphrase. So it was written down as relief and new stress, which was a really bad way to write down starting over. You know, the relief of leaving the military, but then the new stress of starting over, starting a new job, moving, figuring out life as a whole.
Yeah, that's a lot of stuff. So before we get into it, I want to ask people to go ahead and subscribe to the podcast if you like it. So right now we're on Spotify. We're also on Apple Podcasts. So please subscribe, leave us a review. Let us know how we're doing.
Make sure you're following us on Facebook as well. The Grog Bowl Podcast on Facebook and Instagram.
And look through the description for a link to a Google Forms for feedback if you want to be a part of the show.
And stay tuned for our live show coming available on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, and also if you have any questions, comments, or if you want to give us feedback, send us an email at thegrogb@gmail.com. There you go. All right, so let's get into it. Who wants to go first? This is a great topic.
So do we want to go? It doesn't matter how we go.
So me and Mike are pretty fresh at it. Mike's the freshest coming with the transition. I would be the second, and old man over here, you've been out for ages. So.
Old geezer, yeah. So why don't I go first?
Oh, is your nickname Smokey? Is that what you put it up to?
Damn, Smokey?
No, he just says that all the time.
Nah, so that's when somebody slammed the screen door during the initial recording of the podcast, and I was like, okay. That sounds like the damn screen door off of Friday. So I was like, damn, Smokey.
So that's how it ended up on the intro.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. You were here for it though, so you should know.
Yeah. I might have been too much drinking that night.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right.
By the way, we are sipping on what are we sipping on tonight, dear?
Tonight is what is it, Mike?
1792.
Oh yeah, 1792.
So it was either your wife or was it you that bought me the first batch of this?
So I've had it before and you've had it, but you didn't remember. But his wife bought it for you when she sold your house.
She sold me she sold my house and bought it as a present for me, and ever since I've loved it.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure we probably did drink it in Kentucky.
Yes.
Then we had it. Okay.
Yeah.
This is a very generous pour, by the way. Thank you.
Yeah. I love it. It's nice.
So yeah, I'm gonna get into it. My transition was, it was wild. So it started out with me signing a declination of continued service. So I was an instructor at a med center in school. We were in a unit detached from our battalion that was situated down in Fort Sam, Houston, Texas. And so, I had reached wit's end in terms of just continuing to serve. I wasn't very fond of being an instructor, and I think it was simply because, it just didn't feel like a brotherhood. It felt like every soldier was out for themselves, and rightfully so. Being an instructor is a way to, kind of separate yourself from the pack in terms of, my career field. It's an opportunity to progress, get some good bullets on your NCOER or whatever. But I just didn't feel like it was a brotherhood. And, I had some individual things go on with, other NCOs. And, I was just like, you know what? it's just time for me to go. And so, I signed a deck statement and proceeded towards my transition. It was funny because I was like, you know what, I got to get ready for the civilian world. So I went to this suit place. I can't remember.
Suit place.
Yeah, it was like
Men's Warehouse.
You say suit or soup?
Suit.
Suit.
So
okay.
yeah, I went. It was like kind of like a Men's Warehouse, but so I just started buying. I bought like 3 suits, and I still have those suits, and those suits are ugly as hell. I was like, who in their right mind would hire me walking in with a suit like this? But
you never had to wear a suit, so it didn't matter. You didn't know any better.
The only suit I wore was BDUs.
Yeah,
That's true.
I have a suit story too, but
yeah.
later.
So, I went and bought these suits, and I'm like, I got to get ready for interviews. But it was, the road leading up to it was very nervous because here I am trying to figure out how I'm going to provide for a wife, and at that time we had two children, and thinking about things like healthcare, things like that, and just finding a job. And so I started applying. I was doing phone interviews, and I applied for a job at Womack Army Medical Center, and I was interviewed by at the time Master Sergeant Murray was there, and it was CW3 Toulouse, and I didn't know this, but CW3 Toulouse was very good friends with, at the time, was CW3 Johnson, who was he was my chief when I was at Fort Stewart. Small world. And so when I got to Womack, I'm kind of fast forwarding here, but when I got to Womack, Chief Toulouse basically told me the only reason why you got this job is because they call him Wendy, but Chief Wendell Johnson. I asked him, Toulouse said, I asked him, should I hire this guy? Should I wait and hire this guy? Because I still had some time before I was going to ETS. And, Chief Johnson gave me the blessing and said, yeah, you should wait on this guy. He's a good tech. So that's how I wound up getting a job at Womack. But, getting a job at Womack really took a lot of stress off of me because it was a seamless transition. I got the money from the military to move. So we drove a U-Haul with a trailer, and my wife drove our other vehicle behind the U-Haul. And, we moved to North Carolina. My mom I had set her up with a rental agency because we were renting a house when we first moved there. So she went, looked at the house, signed all the paperwork for me. We gave the deposit, and we drove the U-Haul straight up to the house and started, unloading and everything. So that really took a lot of stress off me. But the whole transition thing was really, it was really stressful.
How long from when you signed the deck statement till you were ETSing?
It was I would say it's about a good 5 to 6 months.
So see, that's still the shortest turnaround. You went from being in the Army, ready to go, deck statement. 6 months later, you're out.
Yeah, it was quick.
That was about, my time frame was about 6 months.
Yeah, it was quick. And I don't know if my wife was really worried. I think she just kind of trusted me. She followed me, for a long time as we moved from place to place. And, I'm just grateful for people like Chief Johnson, Chief Toulouse, Master Sergeant Murray for, allowing me an opportunity to continue to take care of my family in a way that, they were used to living. And, that was it, man. That was my transition. It was stressful in the beginning, but as things kind of progressed and everything kind of fell into place, it was a lot less stressful.
Yeah. And that's a good example of why you don't burn bridges. Because you didn't even know. You weren't asking a person to, hey, get me a job. You applied for a job and somebody reached out and said, oh, hey, should I hire this guy?
Yeah, so I had a few references, people that I had good relationships with. So Chief Johnson being one. My other reference was Sergeant Major retired Troy Foster. And another reference I had was Sergeant First Class retired Dale. So 2 of those people were from my first unit, 225 Forward Support. I'm like, I don't know, man. That unit, like, I still have people that I am like deeply connected with from 225. So, anytime I felt like I ever needed anything, I feel like I could reach out to those people that I'm still connected with from 225, and they would receive, whatever I was asking for and really take it into consideration.
Gotcha. Definitely a stressful time.
You're up, Derek. Let's go.
All right. So where was I at? We were in Hawaii.
You were in Hawaii.
We were in Hawaii. All right, let's talk about my transition. Well, it was one of the most stressful, life-changing events I ever went through. I was just finishing up my platoon sergeant time in 3/4 Cav, Blackfoot Troop, 25th ID, Hawaii. And my next assignment was going to be a OC. I was not thrilled at all about that. I think, if I remember correctly, I did an extension, and I don't even remember what unit it was. I hated it so bad. Became an OC for, I think it was like 6 months, whatever. Anyway, ended up med boarding out, and I think my transition took about 6 months from start to finish to the med board. But how that all came about was Mike and I were stationed in Hawaii together, and we were running a business together outside of the military. I had been going to college to get my business degree and finished everything while we were there, and I was talking to my wife, hey, I need some business experience. I don't have any. Prepping to get on the outside. So as funny as it may sound, we were sitting around one of my son's birthday parties, and we wanted to rent a bounce house. And I contacted MWR, and the price was like $400. I'm like, have you lost your damn mind? So we went to Target, bought a bounce house, bought my own bounce house, set it up in the backyard, and as the party went on...
Wait, you bought a whole fucking bounce house?
I bought a whole fucking bounce house.
Oh, man.
But it was a residential, like, from Target.
Okay.
We were sitting around, kids are playing, I'm drinking some more beers, and I was like, you know what? Could we start a business doing this?
Mm-hmm.
So we're in Hawaii. I was making E7 pay at the time. Wasn't a lot of pay.
Daddy Warbucks.
Yeah. I remember we had a Ford Focus. 4-door Ford Focus. Told my wife, I was like, hey, we're going to start a bounce house business. She was like, have you lost your damn mind? So I started it, and I think Mike moved. How far?
Wait, so y'all put the bounce house inside of the trunk?
Oh,
of
let me
Ford
get there.
Focus?
Hold up. Let me
You're
get
not
there
yet.
Let me get there.
But you had started this before I got there.
Wait,
Yeah.
wait. So,
So
let me ask you
Hold
this.
up.
Let me ask one quick question.
Go ahead.
So how did folks in your unit treat you when they found out you were being med boarded?
So, I call it my real unit. Once I finished my platoon sergeant time, that was on the line. Once I transitioned over to OC, it was even to the first sergeant to my first line supervisor, which was another E7. Once they find out you med board or you're getting transitioned out, instantly you got a bad rap. Instantly, it's a negative review. It's hey, you're worthless at this point. Get away from me. We don't want nothing to do with you. That's exactly how that's how I was treated instantly.
You know what? You know why I brought that up? Because I was treated the exact same way when everybody found out that I signed a deck statement. I literally got cussed out by it was E7 at the time. This guy actually got promoted to Sergeant Major eventually. But yeah, and I don't want to cut you off. I'm just kind of relating, like, because our stories are kind of similar the way we got out,
right?
Versus Mike retiring, and having all the honor of retirement ceremony.
I didn't go to the ceremony,
but I was literally like, I was an E6. I never made E7,
right?
But I was pretty much locked up at parade rest, being cussed out by E7.
So I was a 3-year E7, was up for my first look as E8, and literally once I told them, hey, I'm med boarding out, it was my entire career, I was a rock star. I was fast tracking, own it. Life was easy for me. Like, I was going through the ranks. I had no doubt I would have made first sergeant, made sergeant major. And as soon as I said that, the demeanor changed, and you're a piece of shit. Get away from me. You're a shitbag.
Damn, man.
Here I am. I finished my bachelor's. I finished my master's. I was working on my second master's, and it was just like, I dropped the bomb, and instantly, you're a piece of shit, shitbag. Get away from me. That's literally how it felt.
Yeah, it's like, what have you done for me lately? Right. Mentality,
Yep.
Like, it doesn't matter that, I went to war.
Yeah.
I spent countless hours. I was teaching students. Sacrificing time away from my family. It's like, once you do something that's in your own personal best interest, it's like you're a shitbag.
Yep. From my point of view, like, I worked so hard to get my education, and a lot of my NCOs that were over me, my first sergeant, a couple sergeant majors, when I was going to college, I remember one of them telling me, hey, people with master degrees are homeless too and don't have a job. My first sergeant told me that because I was going so hard trying to get education, trying to get college. And I remember that to today, and literally, I just want to go up to him. But I'm going to stay humble and kind of whatever, let it go. But anyway, my mindset was I was done, mentally, physically done with the military. I already had a couple knee surgeries. I needed total knee replacements, and I was too young to have total knee replacements. I was I think I was 36, 37. Knees were shot, being airborne, air assault, and I was just done.
Air assault?
Yep. I couldn't see myself getting total knee replacements at this young age, so I hung it up, and I already had my degrees, and I was like, you know what? It's time to do bigger and better things outside the Army. So back to the bounce house. That's where the bounce houses came from.
Hell yeah.
I needed some type of business experience. So I think Mike got there about 6 months prior to me.
Man,
and I was
quiet as shit tonight, man.
Hold on. I was literally running. I started up a bounce house business, bounce house and water slide business on Oahu. And we started it with one bounce house inside of my Ford Focus. And I remember one day, Hawaii is known for a lot of roaches, right? You got roaches everywhere. If you don't got roaches in your house, you ain't doing it right. So
fucking water bugs.
We had so many damn water bugs and roaches inside this car.
To answer the question, yes, they were putting the wet bounce house in the trunk of the car.
Ford Focus.
I couldn't afford a truck or a trailer at the time.
So the Ford Focus was like what do you call that? A box truck.
Yeah. Yes. So
damn.
Shout
out to Ford, man.
So Mike finally gets to the island, and I talked to him, and hey, I started this business. Why don't you come join with me? He looked at me like, you lost your fucking mind. I don't want to do with this bullshit. I got work to do.
That seems to be a common thing. You lost your fucking mind.
Literally, I lost my fucking mind. Finally, talked Mike getting into it. He comes in with me. We turned $400 in 2 years, into $200,000 business, and it's on the island today. And when we decided to get out, board it out, I sold it on the island, and it's still in operation today. It's in a Netflix movie. I forget the name of the movie, but they filmed it and they brought the company into it. And there's about 4 or 5 inflatables bounce houses that are from that company that were filmed inside the movie. But it started out with one $400 bounce house from Target. We ended up with 20 commercial bounce houses, generators, and we were operating all over the island. Me and Mike being in the military, working 5 days a week, minus the fields and all that, we usually were working 7 days a week, sun up to sundown.
That's what it takes.
Like, we were going to Waianae, we were going to North Shore, like, we were all over the entire island. We got it to where we were running 2 crews. I finally had enough money to buy some trucks, trailers. My entire garage on post was bounce houses and water slides. Now, I got in trouble with NWR and the Garrison Commanders because we were operating a business inside of Garrison. So I had to go through that stuff, figuring all that out, and we had to
bureaucracy.
Yes. We were competing with NWR across
a soldier competing with NWR.
They were getting pissed. That's why he got in trouble.
Imagine that.
NWR was losing money. So he started with this one little bounce house in his Ford Focus. When he pulled me in, I was helping run the ones he had, but we went and we did the same thing. We bought a private use bounce house and put it in our minivan.
Okay.
And so we ran it in our minivan for a little while until my wife got tired of us putting it in the van. I went and bought.
Damn it, Sherry.
I went and bought a truck, and so I would load up my truck. He would load up his truck, and
so you finally got that truck?
So this was the second truck I had.
This was the white Lightning. Is that right?
This was my white 2017. No.
What was it?
2017.
Was it a Ford?
Yeah, Ford F-150.
Shout out to Ford, man. Ford Focus with the goddamn bounce house in the trunk.
Yes.
And Ford F-150 with the bounce house in the damn bed.
Oh, yeah. We could fit 3 in the F-150. He could fit 3 or 4 in his truck. And then we ended up getting trailers.
With a trailer, yeah.
You had a Ford, too?
No, I had a Chevy. 6-inch lift on 35s. Like, we'll get to the drag racing story here in a minute on Waianae.
Shout out to Chevy, man. Shout out to Chevy.
But
hey, Ford.
I gotta give a shout out to my wife, Mike, his wife, Sherry, and the kids. Like, we all worked 7 days a damn week and sun up to sundown all over the island. And I never made that much money in my life.
Bro, listen.
We made E6, E7 pay, and we were bringing in straight cash every weekend, a couple G's a weekend.
That we put on our tax returns and we filed our taxes.
We did it correctly.
Shout out to the IRS.
We were claiming it all correctly, doing business correctly.
Hey, listen, real quick. That honestly, that's a great story. Like, that's a great American story. People think, or it was publicized that the American dream is home ownership, but the real American dream is entrepreneurship.
Yes, I agree.
And it's like you guys have lived that and continue to live that, and that's amazing.
So I'll keep telling my story, but prior to that, when I was doing my thesis for my master's, what's the southern town straight down? Is it Kailua? South, we're near the lagoons in Hawaii, on Oahu.
Oh.
Eva Beach.
Yeah.
So there was a
yeah, that's way on the east side.
North. Yeah. No, it was south side. I think it was south side.
So if you're talking about the lagoons,
no, that's actually west.
Like, I think it was Eva Beach, west. Somewhere down there.
Yeah.
But anyway, there was an Anytime Fitness, and my first goal prior to starting this company was I wanted to own a gym. So for my internship, I talked to my CEO and everybody, and they let me do an internship with Anytime Fitness and Eva. So they signed off. I got it with my professors and all that, and I got to go work at Anytime Fitness for 2 months. 5 days a week. I think it was like 8 to 5 every day. But I got to see the ins and outs of the business, how the gym operate, everything, how it operated in Hawaii. So that's where I figured out, hey, I need a business experience, and I started the bounce house thing. But once we came figured out, hey, I'm med boarding. What do I do with all this bounce house stuff? Like, I don't want to. I have all these floats, generators. So I found one of the customers we had in Waianae. They were a very big family because Oahu or Hawaiians are very big with family, right? Ohana.
Yeah, Ohana, yes, absolutely.
I remember him telling me one day, hey, if you ever get rid of this business, we might be interested in partnering or taking over the business. Contacted him instantly. We started writing up negotiations, doing the business swap plan and everything. So I put together I already had a business plan, but put it all detailed, presented it to him, and they bought the company from me.
Nice.
Still in operation today. Sold him the Facebook, the Instagram, the website, the whole thing, and sold him the truck, the trailer, everything. They took it, and it's still operating there today.
The same truck?
Yep, same damn truck. But what prompted, so I had minor business experience getting out. And my brother, who was an 88 Mike, he did 8 years in the Army. I think he did.
Shout out to 88 Mike's.
Yeah, 88 Mike's, truck driver in the Army.
Who?
He served in the Surge. What OAF was that? Or OEF?
OAF 1?
No.
The Surge?
That's 5 and 6. 05, 06, when the Surge kicked off.
Oh,
There's
that's
so
so
many.
many.
Iraq.
3.
OAF 3. We're somewhere around there.
We were 2.
So he did that, got out, and he started, he moved to the Charlotte area, and he started a junk removal business. So around here, we have J-Dog, which is a military junk removal company. I think he's a Marine, but I don't know if it was Marine or Army that was based out of it, but J-Dog is around here. Shout out to J-Dog.
Shout out to J-Dog.
Anyway, he started a junk removal business as a veteran on junk removal business, and one of his customers was like, hey.
We need to have him on the show.
Yes,
J-Dog.
we do. He's like, hey, can you cut down this tree for me? He's like, why not? I got a dump trailer. Cuts tree down. 2 months later, he starts tree business. He got it going for like 2 years, and I was following him, watching him. He's like, hey, I see you're getting out. Why don't you come out and start a tree company? I'm like, there's no fucking money in trees. What are you talking about?
Sorry, Grandma.
I have a bachelor's, 2 master's degrees. You want me to cut trees for a living? Little did I know.
Look at you now, man.
First month, we turned in almost damn $30,000 cutting trees, and it just spiraled out of control from there. But the problem with the transition was, why was it one of the most stressful events in my life? One, when I med boarded out, I only started at 20%.
Yeah.
I had no retirement. I had no nothing. Whatever my 20% was, I was covered on my 20% for medical. My family didn't have medical. Nothing was covered. I honestly didn't have a plan. But what helped us was we were able to get a severance package because of my years of experience or years in the service. So my time, my grade, all that. So
you didn't have a job to go and work for your uncle?
Nope. I had nothing lined up.
That's what 90% of soldiers say. When I get out, I'm going to go work for my uncle.
I had nothing. You know what I had? I was about to become an entrepreneur. That is what my dream and goal was.
The American dream.
Yes. I took that severance pay, which was pretty big. We're talking. It came out to be over 6 figures. I took that and put everything I had and started a tree company. Now, this is where the downfall started. Because the military is so structured, with being in combat arms, I was constantly around type A personalities, go-getters, motivators. Yeah. When I got out here to the civilian world, dealing with civilians and the people that at the time that were flocking to my industry was just insane. I had more stress starting a company and building a company than I did in the military.
Yeah.
It took a toll on me. For the first 2 years, I turned to alcoholism. I wanted to be back in the military. My life was upside down, to a point where I was seeing the VA therapist weekly. They had me on medications. At one point, there was about 2 points. I almost committed suicide. It was so bad. I couldn't make it work. Angie had to stop me one night. I was freaking out because once the alcohol kicked in, it took me back to the deployments. Mentally, I was messed up.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Transitioning from the military to civilian life was so insane for me. It was crazy. I didn't start getting right until about year 3, year 4.
You still ain't right.
Ain't right.
You remember that movie Major Payne?
Yes.
Remember when he got out the Marines?
Yep.
And he's fucking he's like going through he's having like withdrawal symptoms from being
Right.
in the Marines and shit. But I'm just glad that you made it through all of that, man, because
Me too.
you're here today. You are a crazy successful entrepreneur here in the area, and you're continuing to build upon your business.
Yeah.
So what that tells us is not only can you transition out of the military, but you can be wildly successful.
Yeah, so the big stipulation with service members coming out of the military, when I watch my Facebook, I see a lot of, I can't tell you when I got out to the point I am now. Usually it's about weekly or once, twice a month. I will get soldiers, hey, how the hell do you get to the point you're at? And that's where this whole podcast came about, was a couple of my soldiers was like, hey, you should start a podcast and tell them how you got it out and how all this came about, because the stipulation is you got out of the military, you can't make it, you're going right back in the military, or you're on a downward spiral. You see a lot of soldiers end up in jail. They end up with a felony. They do some dumb shit. They're on drugs.
Hey,
They fuck up their lives.
The transition is, I mean, it can be very stressful.
Yes.
That is why, and I'm gonna let you speak, but that is why the suicide rate is, I believe, a part of that is because of the transition. Like, getting out of the military is stressful.
Do you know what saved me? No matter how much I would get drunk, grab that 9mm, that 45, and put it to my head, which has happened numerous times, or want to hit that tree going down the road. I remember one of my CEOs, I don't want to say his name, it was the best CEO I ever had. And no matter how stressful it got, he's got me in his ear. He's got the other platoon sergeants. We're in wartime. Chaos is kicking off. I remember him just being a duck on the water. When you see a duck on the water, they're calm,
They're
right?
calm.
But underneath,
the water,
everything's spinning miles an hour. But I always focused on that calmness. I don't care what was going on. He never would get outraged. He would just lead by example, which created a calmness in everybody else.
Yeah. You know that.
That's what I look back to.
Mike, chime in, please.
So it doesn't have anything to do with this particular conversation, but it's been something, I don't know if I said it before or if I said it in one of the ones that we haven't published yet. It's a hidden recording. We did too many. But the reason I wanted to do this, when we brought up the podcast, the reason I was so excited about doing the podcast is these stories. Like, why should people listen to us? What benefit could possibly come from somebody sitting down and listening to us talk? And he just kind of hit on it, right? He went through a stressful situation. He had suicidal issues. Lots and lots of people have. But the reason I think people can get something out of this, and the reason I think this podcast could be helpful to somebody else, is because we're not special.
No,
there's nothing special about us. We're just three guys that have done things in the military. We've transitioned out. We've started businesses. We've had jobs. We've had troubles. We have families. We have all of these things. We're not doctors. We're not lawyers. We're not psychiatrists.
Three Army vets.
We're three vets with issues, and we're still here, right? And if somebody else...
I never give up.
We kind of mentioned it last week when we said this, but I didn't ever get to say that we're not special. And that's why what we have to say, I think, is important. Because...
Yeah, so to your point, we're not special. We're not on any type of pedestal. We're just three common people, two entrepreneurs.
You got a thing going,
and
too.
I have a business.
I would say three at this point.
Three entrepreneurs. I have an entrepreneurial spirit. Right. However, I'm still in the workforce in terms of having a way to provide.
You've
for
got
my
a safety
family.
net still.
Yeah, I have a safety net. So I haven't stepped all the way out, but I have a plan. But back to what you're saying, yeah, we're not special. We're just three vets who came together. We have the resources to create a podcast, to put it on a platform for people to listen to, who may or may not have gone through the same things that we've gone through. I mean, at some point, everybody transitions out of the military.
Yeah.
Yeah, by choice or not.
Exactly. So, you know, for you it was medboard. For me it was deck statement. For you it was retirement.
Yeah.
You know what put a fire under my ass? I remember being
Talk to me, man.
I remember being a drill sergeant at Fort Benning. 3 years there.
Man, I had some great drill sergeants, man.
Miserable part of my life. I had no fucking life. Like, it was just work. Don't get me wrong. Seeing a civilian transition into a soldier,
Man,
where's
your drill sergeant hat at, man?
It's on my wall right in there.
Damn,
in
man.
my office.
Man, I tried so
But anyway.
hard. Let me just say this. I
Go
tried
ahead.
so hard to get that drill sergeant hat.
Can't fit a man bun under a drill sergeant hat.
So I'm two stories in here real quick, but for my entire career, I wanted to go recruiting because I was always interested in marketing. I have my degrees in marketing. I like marketing, promotion, and all that stuff, and I always wanted to go recruiting. I applied 3 times, got denied, and never wanted to go drill sergeant. But because I was combat arms, had my deployments, had my section sergeant time,
Man.
they sent me fucking drill sergeant.
So you were a DA select?
Yeah.
Man.
As soon as we got back from Iraq, that deployment,
I wanted that
I looked
shit
at my
so bad, man.
email or whatever the hell it was at the time, and bam, drill sergeant orders.
I wanted to go, man.
Are you serious?
I just wanted the hat, man. I wanted.
You can go buy one.
Nah, I don't want.
Yeah.
Nah, that's stolen valor.
That's true too.
I wanted everything that came along with being a drill sergeant. I wanted
Bro.
to march soldiers. I wanted to sing cadence.
Bro, you know how much power you have when you walk in and the sea just parts.
You know what
Like,
that hat
that's
reminds
crazy.
me of? It reminds me of Kung Lao off of goddamn Mortal Kombat.
You can take it off, bro.
But back to what we're getting at. What put a fire under my ass was when I was a drill sergeant. I had one weekend off, finally. I'm going to take the wife out to dinner. I think we went to Cheddar's.
Cheddar's.
Way out to Cheddar.
Shout out to Cheddar's, man.
Nice night out.
We're in Columbus. I think that was like exit 12.
Columbus is ass.
It is. I fucking hated Columbus. It's like exit 12, somewhere around there. But anyway, we went out to Cheddar's, me and the wife. I had this guy as a waiter. Got
Fucking
talking.
guy.
He was a retired E7 working as a waiter. And I instantly thought, I'm like, where did you fuck up? Where did you go wrong at? I'm like, there is no way in hell
Man,
I'm about to do
Don't diminish him like that.
I don't want to
man.
diminish. It's diminishing, but it's like you did an entire. He told me he retired, which okay, if you I could be looking at it wrong. If you got your full retirement and you just want to work, make some extra money, maybe money and possessions is not his thing. That could be one thing. But when I looked at that, I was like, I'm gonna go big places in this world, and it was just like,
Well, let me just tell you, as a retired E7, you cannot live on a
Right.
retirement check.
There's no way.
Let me correction. You can live on a retirement check. You have to have no bills.
You can get
None.
You can get a camper.
If you have land or in a camper, or you have a paid off house and a paid off car, you can live off a retirement check. But you can't. It's not a lot.
no.
You
For
can't
me-
you can't have a mortgage.
You can't have a more because yeah, no, you can't, because
It's not ideal.
my retirement check.
Just E7 retirement pay along with a mortgage with today's interest rates. There's no fucking way in hell.
My retirement pay will just barely cover my mortgage, and that's it.
Damn. Yeah,
It's
that's-
not a lot.
So you can get a house, ramen noodles, and Viennas.
But you
Yes,
got
like-
Vienna sausages. Shout out
Yeah.
to Vienna sausages.
But you have to work somewhere if you're just retired. You have
Right.
to work.
you know what?
Maybe he just likes serving people at Cheddar's.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe. But for me, the transition was crazy, insane. I'm glad I'm here today to be able to do this podcast because at certain points I almost ended it all because it was so damn stressful. I was so structured with the military. When you get out in the civilian world, it's chaos. You're on your own. There's no safety net. It's it's a lot to deal with.
Yeah, my
Like,
my transition was a little more peaceful because I was going from being a soldier to basically doing the same job but just in civilian attire every day.
right.
So it was a pretty seamless transition.
So with me and Mike being family, like, I knew what I went through, and I know he was behind me retiring in a couple of years. So I told Angie, I was like, whatever we can do to help him and Sherry make the transition smooth. It's going to affect him differently than I was, but we need to try to make it where he doesn't have to do half the shit I had to deal with. And
Yeah, that's good. So you were kind of like a retirement liaison
yeah,
to the civilian.
he didn't know at the time, but I told Angie, I was like, how can we help? How can we make this not help Mike not go through what the fuck I went through? Because I literally almost ended it all. Like, I don't want to see him do that. So how can we help him do that? And I don't know, Mike, how did it help?
Talk to me, man. Talk to me, man.
So yes, my transition was different than both of y'all's because I knew it was coming, and I'd known it was coming for a long time.
Can you tell us about the retirement ceremony, because neither one of us had a retirement
So
ceremony.
I opted out of the retirement ceremony.
When did you retire?
Huh?
What date? What was your retirement date?
30 November 22.
20. Did you get like a signed certificate from like President Biden?
Secretary of the Army.
Secretary of the Army.
I might have had a Biden one too. I think I got one from Secretary of the Army.
Joseph R. Biden.
So
I might have been like,
I put it in the shredder.
So I knew mine was coming for a long time because at 20 years, I was an E7 for 10 years. I made E7 at 10 years.
Damn.
And I was an E7 for the last 10 years of my career.
Why didn't you get it? Why didn't you promote to E8?
So, funny story. After I got denied for like my 5th or 6th look, there was a major in my last unit who were pretty good friends. And I was talking to him about it. And he's like, why do you think you didn't make it? And originally in my first couple of looks, I didn't think I made it because I didn't have the right school, or I didn't know the right people, or I didn't do the right, all of those reasons. Everybody's like, that's why I didn't make it.
It's not what you know, it's who you know.
Right. But that's not what it was. In the beginning, I think it was. In the beginning, as an E7, they kept changing the rules. Time and service, time and grade requirements were changing. Age requirements were changing.
Moving the goalposts.
Yeah. It just kept going back and forth all over the place, and I couldn't keep up. Yeah. And when I was younger in the military, I was doing the schools. I was looking for the good jobs. I was being all, hoo crazy, doing all the great stuff. The longer I stayed as an E7, the less I did. So he asked me one year, he's like, why do you think you didn't make it? And I said, honestly, it's because I think it's probably because I've been riding my prior successes. Right. I was really good. I did all these great things. I did classes. I was a platoon sergeant. I was always doing a job one grade ahead of what I was until I'm 87. And I thought all those great things I did would just keep carrying me forward. I never went to any more new schools. I never tried to go to any more new schools. I never tried to get any of the cool jobs. Right. And I just kept writing. I was like, I'm good. My paperwork is good. All my NCOERs are good. Everything's great. Right. But that only lasts so long. That'll carry me through a look or two. Yeah. But then I got to start doing more things. And I never did. And I think that's why I didn't get it this last time. But the times before that, there was, they would blatantly come out and say, we're looking for this. And I was like, I don't have any of that crap.
Man, so we had a E7, right, who was, when I first got to Hawaii, he was our first sergeant. And he was coming up for promotion. And so I get to the unit, and I'm like, I'm standing at parade rest. I'm an E3. I'm in the first sergeant's office, not knowing he's the first sergeant, because all I see is fucking E7 rank on his collar.
Oh, is it promotable?
No, he wasn't. So I'm standing at parade rest, and I'm like, who a sergeant? Who a sergeant? And then he corrected me. He's like, that's first sergeant. And I was like,
who was the acting first sergeant?
Well, he was coming up for the board, and he was hoping to get promoted. He never got frocked though.
Oh.
So I was confused. But then, long story short, and I'm gonna let you get back to what you were saying, but he never got promoted. This dude wound up getting being an inpatient in mental health.
Oh wow!
Because he didn't get promoted.
It'll mess with you, man. I tell you what. First couple times I got overlooked, I was like, it's no big deal. The fourth time I got overlooked, I was like, man, this is rough. Like, if you want to feel like crap, get passed up for promotion.
Let me tell you a story that I am not proud of real quick. It has to do with Mike.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, shit.
We're everywhere in Hawaii.
Hey, just so y'all know, we're at 45 minutes.
I haven't even told my
minutes.
story yet.
You'll be all right. We can clip it in. We're in Hawaii, and I got hands on the pre-list that just came out with E7.
Oh, this mother trucker.
And I don't know what the fuck I was
Shout out to
thinking.
AA Mikes.
I don't know what I was thinking, why I even did it. It was just, I think I did it because we were both, I don't know. We were E7s or E6 at the time?
I was an E7.
So we were both E7s, that's right. Okay. Ever since I've known him, I always wanted to outrank him because he was about 2 years ahead of me.
You wanted to outrank him?
I wanted to outrank him because he was a couple years ahead of me.
Couldn't catch up.
Couldn't catch him. I was eventually going to catch him if I had stayed in. But when the E7 list came out, the leaked list, I can't remember how I did it,
number?
but I was like, "Hey, do you want to know what you made it?" And before he even answered, I was like, "You didn't make it."
Yeah.
And the list didn't even come out yet.
Dick move.
Yeah,
He's got the list and he's blasting me like the night before. He's like, you didn't get it. Ooh,
talking about E7 or E8?
E8.
It was E8. Yeah.
Going to 8. Yeah.
I don't even know why the fuck I did that.
I know why.
I realized it.
So
I was like,
you
man.
could rub my nose in it. That's why. You want to be like,
I felt like a fucking piece of shit after as soon as I did it. I was like, what the hell?
Shame on you, man.
My whole goal was to outrank him. I was like, all right. But
Yeah.
we ended up retiring the same damn rate. Well, he retired. I medboarded. So he still one up me.
Hey, you guys have one up me because I never made E7. So I got out as E6 right before my first look. But my sergeant major, he made sure that I wasn't going to make E7 on my first look. I probably would have been an E6 for like the next 4 or 5 years.
I was at E6 for 9 years because I fast tracked so hard to E6 because my time in, I had to be a fucking staff sergeant for 9 years.
This fucker 3-blocked me on my NCOER as my senior rater.
What?
Yeah. Talk about fucking power of the pen. But go ahead, Mike.
So this is, we have 45 minutes, so this is going to have to be a two-part, episode 2 and 3. That's how we're going to break this out.
No, you can't break this up. This
keep
is
it
all
going?
together.
Keep it the whole thing going? All right, we'll keep it going.
We might be able to cut out some things, but
You never even fully transitioned yet.
no,
All
I
right.
got it. Let me tell my story. This is going to be a long one, and he's going to have to work his magic on it.
Well, let's
Nah,
get
I'm
it.
not.
But anyway.
I'm publishing as is, bitches.
So I knew mine was coming because I was coming up on 20 years. I had been an E7 for 10 years. I talked to my wife about it. The list that came out before I dropped my paperwork,
I couldn't have did it.
I told her, I talked to her. I was like, if I don't make this list,
You could be in Hawaii right now.
well, that's part of the story. I told her, I was like, if I don't make this list, I'm done. I'm going to drop my packet. Like, I'll be at 20 years by the time I retire. If I don't pick up this time, we're done. And she's like, cool. That's fine. If you want to get out, you want to get out. Because the other option was I have to stay 3 more years and get promoted in order to get the high 3 for the next rank. And I was like, I'm not staying another 4 years at minimum.
That's some bullshit, man.
Right? Because I would have had to wait a whole nother year for the next list and then get picked up and then wait 3 years. So I'm looking at 4 or 5 years more. And I was like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
So I was like, 20 years, we're done. They got 20 years and 18 days out of me because I didn't make the list. So I dropped my paperwork. You are allowed to drop your retirement paperwork 1 year ahead of time. And I dropped it 364 days from my retirement just to make sure everything was right. Put in the paperwork. And so for a whole year, I knew I was retiring. At the time, I was Operations Sergeant Major of a very small battalion in Kentucky. So I had the availability to decide, if I needed somebody else to do my stuff or if I needed to do stuff. So what I did, and me and my wife always joked about it, is I always would try to save the world. I would always do all the things, and I would always be at work, and I would always be pushing. And even though I dropped my packet, I still had a year left, right? You can't do anything that far. I mean, you can do stuff that far out, but there's really no point to it. So I wrote it out, and once I got to about between 6 and 8 months before retirement, I started hitting everybody up real hard about a replacement to come in. Finally got a replacement. We did a big left seat, right seat. He took over, and I started, doing all my classes, getting all the paperwork ready, doing all the things to do the full transition. In that time, originally, I didn't know what was going on. We didn't know where we were going to move. We kind of wanted to move to Tennessee. I didn't have a job lined up. I didn't have anything set up like that. And then
scary as fuck, bro. I'll tell you.
Derek came up for Mason's graduation party?
Yeah, was it? It was a Hawaiian party in Kentucky. I remember it being cold as fuck.
Yeah,
it was cold.
It wasn't supposed to be cold, but it was. It was in Kentucky. That was Mason's graduation birthday party thing.
Shout out to E-Town.
Derek was like,
E-Town,
man,
Kentucky.
move your ass to North Carolina.
Well, so what had happened was
Pretty sure we were drunk again.
Every couple months, he would always call up and he'd be like, hey, when you get out, you need to come down here and start up a tree company with me, franchise this business. And I was like, I don't want to run a tree company. I'm not running a tree company for you. And he kept coming up, kept saying it.
You gonna run this motherfucking tree
So
company.
one day he comes up there and he's like, hey, what about a sawmill? I was like, what do you mean, what about a sawmill?
Shout out to Veterans Mobile Sawmill, LLC.
So what he's doing, he says, is he's got to pay to get rid of all these trees. Got to take them to the dump. Got to chip them, do all this kind of stuff. He's like, if you get a sawmill, I'll bring you all the logs. You cut up all the logs, you sell the lumber. He doesn't have to pay to dump fees, and I can sell the lumber and I can make money. I was like, I could run a sawmill. It's like, that's better than running a tree company.
Yeah, Veterans Mobile Sawmill.
So that's how he got me. So we moved to North Carolina, or we're planning to move to North Carolina.
Hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah. I ordered a sawmill 18 months ahead of time. 18 months it took for that stupid thing to come in. So I ordered it in
forever.
June or July. I finally got it. Not 6 months later, December. 18 months later, December, I got it. And it was right after I'd retired.
Wood miser.
Yeah, it's a wood miser.
What is a sawmill?
It's a band sawmill. It's a portable band sawmill that cuts up trees and logs into usable lumber.
Your 2x4s, your 2x6s, 8s, 12s, whatever. Cut your wood.
Oh, wow.
So anyway, so we've decided to come down here for that. So now I knew where I was going. I had a job lined up because I was going to start my own company, but in the interim, I was going to come work with Derek and run quotes and work on his tree crew for a while to get paid. So I had the flexibility to start my own company. So I had the money lined up. I had the location lined up. I had family nearby if I needed to, because obviously they live down here. So once that all figured out, that was a huge weight lifted, because I didn't know what job I was going to do. We had ideas about what I wanted to do. We had plans in our head, but we didn't have anything concrete. So whenever we decided to do the sawmill and move to North Carolina, I stopped paying attention to all the, retirement classes, all the finance classes, all the do you have this classes? Like I would go, right? I would go to all these mandatory classes, but I wasn't listening. I wasn't there.
What they call that shit? ACAP?
Well, yeah, they used to call it ACAP. Now they just call it TAP.
TAP.
I think they
Civil TAP.
SFL TAP. So now it's just Soldier for Life. It's not TAP.
Soldier for Life.
That's Transition Assistance Program. So anyway, I had all that planned out. I ended up signing up to do the CSP, the Career Skills Program, where I was able to I came down here for like 4 months and worked the tree company. Huh?
Oh, you worked with the tree company?
I worked the tree company, and I was getting everything set up for my sawmill. Went back, did my final clearing, and then finally came out and went on terminal leave.
Damn. So you got E7 pay while you were on vacation to come and work with the tree company?
Yeah, he did. He's double dipping.
No, you're not allowed to double dip while you're on the Free Skills program.
I did. No,
you son of a bitch.
I didn't pay him while he was here. He was interning with me. That's what he was doing.
But it gave me the skills I needed then, but it also gave me the time to set up my property for running the sawmill. So I didn't have to worry about anything. I was already here in the area. I could leave work and go home and, get things set up there. So my transition, while it was not nearly as stressful as it could have been, in the beginning, it was great because the guys from work, they would call, they stopped calling because it was one-way conversations. I am terrible about calling people. So they would all call me every once in a while and ask me questions about stuff, and then I'd never return their calls because I'm just a terrible person. And so they stopped calling. But anyways, they would always ask, how's retirement going? And the 100% honest answer is I did not realize how stressful the Army was until I got out of the Army. And it was like this huge weight was just lifted off of me. That my mental health improved, my stress level went down, like all kinds of things happened. It just was this huge weight was lifted off me, and it was great. All the way until December 1st. Because what happened December 1st?
You're done, son.
I stopped getting my Army pay. So now I was officially in the real world.
Yeah.
So once December 1st came around.
I see you got the knife hand.
I got the knife hand. Once December 1st came around, all that stress started coming back because while I did have a job and I was making money and am making money, it's all on me now. That Army guaranteed every 2-week paycheck just kind of stopped. And that was the biggest stressor for me coming out. My wife's she was more concerned about healthcare and stuff like that, which being retired, I have very similar healthcare to active duty soldier. For
TRICARE?
I still have TRICARE.
Shout out to TRICARE.
And it's at a fraction of the cost of what any other civilian health insurance can get you. And it's great because I'm not used to it now because we're still having to pay copays and stuff like that. My annual payment is less than his monthly payment.
What's your annual payment, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm thinking it's like under $600.
Nice.
Wait, for the whole family, you're paying under $600.
Yeah,
a year
as a retiree.
So hold on. Let me get this straight. So I'm 90% with the VA right now, right? I'm covered. I don't have to have medical. I'm 100% covered. The family's not. So I go through
Obamacare.
No. So this is not the correct terminology, but I always want to say Christian Mingles, but it's not Christian Mingles. It's Christian.
FarmersOnly.com.
No.
It's the Christian help thing.
It's Christian Ministries, which is like a religion healthcare thing. Okay. But we pay about $550 for my wife and 2 kids.
A month.
Yep. And how it works is anything we do up to $500, I cover. After that, they'll tap in and cover everything. So is TRICARE on the amount about the same?
So we took the kids. When we were in the Army, the kids never went. Well, I don't want to say never, but it was like few and far between.
You don't think about it until you start seeing the copay.
We start going to the doctor. I've got bills piling up because everybody's got an ouchie now. I'm like, what the heck? So we go to the doctor. It's depending on what. So it's $30 or $40 to go for a visit. It was $100 some to take one of the kids to the emergency room one time. My son, who's still on our insurance, is older, so he's not covered in my policy. He's covered in his own policy. Like he paid like $300 to go to the ER when he had something wrong with him. So like it's fairly affordable.
It's different though.
But it's different because when before it was like, hey, the kid's got the sniffles, let's go to the doctor. Now I'm like, are you sure you're not dying? Because you just stay in bed for a few minutes and we'll figure this out, right? Because I don't want to have to pay that extra money. It's not a lot most of the time.
Yeah, but it adds up.
It does add up. Yeah. So my wife ended up going to the ER when we were on a vacation down in Florida, and we got the bill back for that, and it was like $1,000 or something like that. I was like, whoa! Like we'd always get these bills.
Whoa!
We'd get these bills and they're like, and TRICARE's like covered. right? But now there's
Right.
no TRICARE saying it's covered anymore. So now we got to pay that out when we
Yeah.
go. But the good thing is, like, if you go to the ER, if you go to some of these bigger build places, like, they'll just send you a bill and you pay it over time. You don't have to necessarily come out, like, you don't have to come out with all that money all up front all the time.
Bro, I tell you, being in the military, it's almost like you're sheltered.
You are.
To an
It
extent.
is.
When you get out here, it's like, holy shit, your eyes are open. Like, what the hell did I just get
It's
into?
all these surprise bills. Because, so,
Hold on. Even down when we were in the military or in the Army, I remember paying, what do we pay? $20 to $35 for a tag to get your car registration.
Yeah.
Out here in the real world, you're paying $500-$600 a tag. Now, because I own a business,
That's just
every
going
one of
up,
my
son.
work trucks, I pay $10,000 a year in fucking tag fees. That is insane.
That shit
So-
is going up, son.
If I could redo it and drag you here to North Carolina, I would say let's go to Plan B, which was fucking Tennessee.
yeah, that's where we were going to go, which is a lot
We should
cheaper.
be in Tennessee right now
be in Tennessee.
because it's cheaper. North Carolina is so damn expensive to live in. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
One good thing, though, that happened right when we were getting ready to move here, which I was going to be really pissed about, was North Carolina dropped the taxes on military retirement. So now I'm not getting taxed on my retirement check, which is one of the reasons we were going to go to Tennessee.
Yeah.
But that's another thing you have to look at when you're getting out of the military. What tax rate is there? Do they tax retirement? Do they tax?
Right.
Yeah, I don't
Anything.
know why, but North Carolina is not a veteran-friendly state.
Not a shout out to North Carolina, even though we live
No.
here. We
Yeah.
love and hate you. at the
I
same
grew up
time.
in North Carolina. I loved it. That's why I wanted to come back here.
But see,
But I
these-
was here as a kid and a teenager.
These-
Now that I'm adulting, I'm like, holy shit.
These are
what?
the things. These are the things that people do not think about,
Right.
especially if you're getting out, like if you're ETSing at a young age. But yeah, I'm sure some of the older people that are retiring, they probably do look at these things like, okay, states like Texas, Florida, I know California is one of them, even though it's expensive as hell to live out there. But California is one where, like, they don't, for vets who are 100% disabled, there's no property tax in California.
Oh, wow.
So, and it's the same in Tennessee.
Yeah. Well, in North Carolina, I just found out they reduced my property value by like $40,000.
Yeah, that's called an abatement. So.
Yeah, they did that.
But my mortgage actually went up this year.
Did it?
Yeah, so I went from, well, I won't disclose that, but it went up about $200.
Oh.
Yeah, it's pretty disheartening.
Oh, mine did too.
Yeah, exactly.
But then I put my abatement in, so I think it might go back
Yeah,
down.
mine didn't go down. Yeah, so I hope you guys took something away from this podcast. Transitioning is stressful. Everybody has their own story, and we just really wanted to share yours or share ours with you all, and in hopes that it was somewhat kind of like you could see the relevance and
And if you-
relate to it.
If
and-
you have a game plan, you properly plan, it still may go to hell. It may go to shit. But the thing is, don't ever give
Sorry,
up.
Grandma.
Don't ever quit. There is life outside the military. You can make it.
And the one thing, if you are about to, or if you know somebody that's about to transition out of the military, I don't know if this is going to be helpful for them, but tell them to go to every single class that they can, that they're required to, and actually pay attention whether you have a plan or not, because there's things I ignored that I should have listened to. So let me be the person, the fly on the wall, the whatever, little conscious, what Jiminy Cricket's saying. Go to the classes and pay attention. Even though everybody was telling me the same thing, let me be the next person to tell you, go to these classes and pay attention and have a plan.
And
Have a plan.
definitely go to when the VA comes with the benefits determined at discharge class, make sure you go to that class, because that is the best way to get your VA benefits once you are discharged from service.
Oh, yes, I did that and they lost my paperwork. So make sure you stay on top of your VA person to get it processed properly, because I still didn't get mine until like 4 months later after discharge. But anyway, we're starting another story.
All right, guys. If you liked today's episode on the Grog Bowl podcast, please like, And follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and stay tuned to our YouTube channel.
Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. We are on Apple Podcasts as well as Spotify. Pretty soon we're going to launch on Google Podcasts. I don't know who uses that, but we want to make sure we get out to as many platforms as possible.
And cut. All right, so what's the next episode about? Alcohol?
Alcohol.
Blame it on alcohol.
Any stories or
Blame it on the goose. Got me feeling loose.
yeah, whatever that means.
I got a good story about alcohol in Fort Stewart.
Yeah, you can't tell it. You can't tell it right now.
Right now? No?
Oh,
Okay.
but between now and the time you listen to this podcast or the next podcast, listen to the radio and count how many songs talk about drinking in them.
A lot.
Yes.
A lot.
Almost all of them.
Hey, man. Alcohol been popping since before Prohibition.
At least
Getting ready to
at
say
least
that.
a month before Prohibition.
Yes, man. I mean, that's one of the cornerstones of America, man. Alcohol. I remember seeing on like the History Channel where they enacted Prohibition, and then you see people in the black and white films busting the barrels of bourbon and shit.
Yep. Got rid of it all.
And then the mobsters just bootlegged that shit.
Yep.
And then they were like, you know what? We missing out on too much money, man.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and
We can't tax it if they hide it from us.
Let's go ahead and repeal Prohibition.
That old white lightning up in the Carolina Hills.
That moonshine. One of my favorite movies, and they was trying to bootleg moonshine. That movie Life with Eddie Murphy and Martin
Oh,
Lawrence.
dude, that is one of my favorite movies. You gonna eat your cornbread?
Yeah. Eddie Murphy got his ass whipped. But
Say,
then-
make your lips say "watch" one more time. I'll bust your ass up in it.
you better say "little clock" or something. Shout out to Eddie Murphy, man. We love you, brother.
I love that movie.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite movies, man. Me and my good bro, man, Eric. Me and him, we used to quote that movie all the time, man.
Oh, Winston Hancock. You know Winston Hancock?
You know Slim. But yeah, next episode we're gonna get into we're gonna talk about alcohol, man, and how it has impacted, our individual lives.
This podcast is for entertainment purposes only and is not a substitute for professional or legal advice.